This is Goku-san DBZ, and I'm doing a special top 12 list. Currently, it's early morning, and I will be leaving in a few hours for registration for Tsubasacon, which is our local anime convention, which takes place usually the second weekend of every October. And I'm very much looking forward. I'm planning on trying to record some footage from Tsubasacon this year, with part of it probably with my tablet, and some footage maybe outside Tsubasacon stuff to record, people in costume and everything, with probably my smartphone. So just let you know about that. And also, before I do a top 12 list, I will be showing you 2 future issues I will be doing of comic book reviews. The first of the 2 that I'll be reviewing will be this. Issue 1, Star Wars Shattered Empire, which is, of course, takes place after Return of the Jedi, right after, and, of course, it'll be the road to Force Awakens, Episode 7. And this will be the year one. Now, sadly, I've not been able to get a hold of Spider-Gwen issue 3. So I'm going to have to skip to Spider-Gwen issue number 4. And those will be the next 2 comic book reviews I'll be doing. So stay tuned for that. And now, these are my personal top 12 favorite metal albums. Just mine. And, of course, first I'm going to actually mention some honorable mentions before I start the actual list. So, obviously, it's not going to be a mixture of statistics from different things. It's strictly my own personal list. So, keep that in mind. First, some of the honorable mentions. These are albums I really like just in the cut. And really limited to technically no more than 1 album per artist on the actual top 12 lists. So it's not going to be exact order of my absolute favorites, because there's a few albums from one particular artist that's actually my favorites of all time. First of honorable mentions, Asylum, Disturb. Also from Disturb, I also very much enjoyed their album The Lost Children. Redeemer of Souls, Judas Priest. Chasing the Grail, Fozzy. Ice Earth. Plagues of Babylon. Amon Amarth, Deceiver of the Gods. Archenemy, Chaos Legions. Ashes of Ares, self-titled album Ashes of Ares. Demon Hunter, The Triptych, Dragon Lord, Black Wings of Destiny, and 2 also honorable mentions to Iron Maiden, and that being Power Slave, and their new album, of course, which is Epic, A Book of Souls. Now, here's coming in at number 12 of my personal favorite metal albums. The German industrial metal band Icebrecher, and their self-titled album Icebrecher. Now, if I remember correctly, I believe it was released in 2004, 2005, around that time frame. It had good songs like self-titled song Icebrecher, Fanatica, which is kind of weird. Some of the lines of the song, it sort of crosses between German and English. The song, like, want to blow dust in your face or some. Feed my wire, you make me ecstatic, you make me feel fanatic tonight. It's kind of weird, some of the songs, but it's a very enjoyable industrial metal band. I really like them. Icebrecher and the frontman of the band, and a few other members in the band, actually also helped found another industrial metal band prior to Icebrecher, and that was the German band Megahertz, which is pretty good band, I might add, but I love Icebreaker. As like say metal bands like Rammstein, Till Lindemann has a much more perverted sound to his like style, while Icebreaker has a little bit more darker tones, more serious sound to the lead vocalist. So it helps a little distinctive difference there. Number 11 is from my personal favorite metal was instrumental metal band. Some may not be considered metal, but they are, and they started in the late 80s. And that is the band Dream Theater, with their album Black Clouds and Silver Linings, which was a 2009 release, but of particular albums, I just really enjoyed it. Believe it or not, this album is ranks in at some like 70-some minutes, I believe, and it's only 6 tracks long. That's it. Now, anybody that's listened or ever heard Dream Theater knows that Dream Theater is known for their super long songs. And to be fair, very distinctive. Like, their shortest song on the album is like almost 6 minutes. My personal favorite song on the album is probably Rite of Passage, which stretches almost 9 minutes. And it was their most, that and the Era One, the 2 short songs, were their most successful in the charts. Obviously, because they were shorter. But both good songs. But there's another song I really like on it. I'm trying to remember the exact name of the track now, but it stretches almost 20 minutes long. And it's a really good song. I very much appreciate their instrumental style. And Dream Theater is known for having deeper meanings to a lot of their songs, which is something else I really appreciate about a lot of metal music. Because you can find so much metal music out there that has nothing to do at all with sex or drugs. And that's something I really want, for the most part of my music. I don't want mentioning of drugs or sex. I mean, 90% of your mainstream music revolves around these 2 things. That's why I love alternative and more of a lot of metal, lyrically speaking. You know, bands like Iron Maiden, Megadeth, and others, which are known for being political. And Dream Theater, for their lyrics to their songs, are a little different. Now, there is the Guilty Pleasure band that I like that sometimes is perverted and also very twisted in the head, I will say that. Coming in at number 10 is the album 13 by Black Sabbath. And I mean, I like Black Sabbath, some of their earlier music, but really it's only selected tracks from their earlier works that I really like. No particular album overall, but this album is incredible. And it's hard to believe it was their first album that they did together in like 30-some years. Now that's insane, and to think how solid and incredible the album is. The song that got me really into the album, really sucked me in, is the song called Is God Dead? With a question mark. Or wait, no, God is Dead? Question mark. My bad. But it's a really good album. And I love that they've got like 3 tracks on there that stretch almost 10 minutes each. Now, anybody that personally knows me knows I actually like some of those longer songs. And I don't care if a song is 10 minutes, even 20 minutes. If it's a really good instrumentally speaking song, I really don't care about the length. But that's just me. That's not the average music listener, keep in mind. And a lot of metal fans and stuff are used to probably longer songs overall, given some of the big metal bands. And now, number 9, Sonic Firestorm, Dragon Force. And Dragon Force is definitely, without a doubt, my personal favorite speed metal band of all time. And I've always been a big fan of Dragon Force. I mean, I also really love their first album, which is Valley of the Damned. Really good album. That personal track off the album is probably one of their best songs ever, and one of their more successful. Through Fire Whatever, which is known from their Human Rampage album, which I believe was their third studio album. Now this is their second studio album, and this is where they really developed overall their definite distinctive style and sound. And some people would say, well, it sounds sort of like the Recycle. Well, yeah. But a lot of your successful bands tend to have a particular style they can't gear too far away from, because otherwise they'll outrage like the real hardcore fan base. Even if some bands want to experiment, an example of a band that I guess I'm technically guilty of the establishment old school fan base is the band Linkin Park, for instance, because they geared a little far away from their style with albums like A Thousand Suns, which very much the main hardcore base was outraged, though some of them were also pretty outraged with Mince to Midnight album. And yes, they're not metal, they're hard rock, but I'm just giving an example. Each have to keep at least a certain distinctive sound if they want to please their fan base. Obviously, bands that perfected this are bands more like Disturbed and Godsmack and big bands such as these, but also managed to keep the music good overall. Now, with the Sonic Firestorm album, it's very interesting. Their style of speed metal is a little different than your traditional mainstream type metal music of now. It reminds you a little bit more, maybe somewhat of like 80s and stuff like that styles, more so. But vocally speaking, I love the original lead vocalist of Dragon Force. Really good voice and yes, not all metal is screaming or yelling. There actually is some that has actual singing voice, and Dream Theater is, and Dragon Force is one of these bands. And they're very motivational and uplifting. At least the sound, even if the lyrics aren't technically speaking. Coming in at number 8 is his newest and definitely probably my favorite from the band, from this individual, though I do like a lot of the older music, and that is Marilyn Manson. And at number 8 is, I think, my personal favorite album, and that being his new one, The Pale Emperor. I really love this album to death. It's really amazing, and he really does go back to his distinctive industrial metal sound that he used to have back in the late 90s, early millennia time frame. You know, when he did albums well known like Smells Like Children, or of course distinctive well-known albums such as Antichrist Superstar and others such as that. And of course, his probably best well-known song of all time is obviously The Beautiful People. Though a lot of people also know his hits like The Dope Show, and he definitely has done a lot of incredible covers over the years, like Tainted Love, Sweet Dreams, and Personal Jesus. But from The Pale Emperor, I like he come back to a little bit more his old-fashioned, but at the same time he also still is pushing forward, being independent, and this being his second album of his own independent label. And some of the guitar music on his last and on this album was done by his good friend, the well-known actor Johnny Depp. And yes, he plays electric guitar, believe it or not. And yeah, he's been good friends for years with Marilyn Manson. Same as like he's been friends for years with Tim Burton and others. And probably, though, I'm trying to remember the exact name of the song that they released via, I think it was the first single. That's probably my second favorite song, but my actual favorite from the album is probably Cupid's Got a Gun. I really love that song. And probably one of the reasons I got into it was because it's the theme music of a show I really like, being Salem. And yeah, Cupid's Got a Gun from Elements is actually the opening theme for the show, which I think is kind of cool. And suitable if you think about it from a perspective. Coming in at number 7 is Design Your Universe. The European band Epica, which has 2 vocalists. The main female vocalist, which has a more opera style, vocally speaking about her, and then the main male vocalist on a lot of songs, at least on this album, goes for more of a black metal sound voice, or as I call it, Cookie Monster metal voice. That's just how I see it. But if you like hard, you're definitely going to like, if you're into death metal, Viking metal, or like black metal, you're going to really appreciate this male vocalist in the song. And also the female vocalist is just incredible. It's a perfect balance in some of the song tracks with the male black metal style vocals and with the female opera music vocals. I mean, it's just incredible. A perfect balance of real hardcore metal music combined with opera, classical type music. It really is the perfect balance of these 2 completely separate genres, completely different, but yet they go together like, how shall I put this? They go together, I guess you could say, in a layman's terms, like peanut butter and jelly. Just saying. Now, number 6 is actually a tie. There's only 2, there's like a few ties here because I just love these albums so much. Tie for number 6 is between Megadeth and their album Countdown to Extinction, which I love so much. It's definitely my favorite Megadeth album, hands down, from 1992. Like most people, I like Symphony of Destruction. I also really like Sweating Bullets, and I'm trying to remember Honor or whatever. I forget some of the names now. I'm sorry. And my absolute probably favorite is actually the self-titled track, Countdown to Extinction, which is a really good track. It's not their most popular. Obviously, their most popular is probably Symphony of Destruction, but I love Countdown to Extinction track because of actually what's in the lyrics of the song. It's a very environmental, I guess you could say, political message in the song. And there's a lot of good points made on a lot of the tracks on this album. It really is probably their best album, hands down. Their second best album is probably Rest in Peace. And the other album that's tied with that number 6 is Iron Maiden, and my personal favorite album, The Final Frontier. As I said, yeah, Power Slave is my favorite old school album from the band, and I really, really love their new album, hands down. They're pretty much tied for being my second favorite Iron Maiden album. Most people would say because the quality's down, shouldn't be so high up, but I just love, in general, the entire album, and it's very rare I find pretty much an entire album that I love every single track on. It's rare. With a lot of artists, there's usually 3 or 5 particular tracks that really stand out to me out of the whole album. But it's not the case with Final Frontier. It's just a really good album. The lyrics are good. Yeah, the sound quality is a little not the greatest Iron Maiden, but the album as a whole really is great. Like the way Wild Wind Blows is a perfect way for the album to end. I really love Final Frontier. Was it Satellite 15? Final Frontier, first track. Really love it. Also really like El Dorado, Coming Home, The Talisman, The Alchemist, Starblind, Mother of Mercy, which is an incredible track, and frankly, Isles of Avalon. It's just an incredible, perfectly balanced album, in my view. Keep in mind that's subjective, and everybody's going to have their own personal favorite album by their favorite metal band. And for me, this just happens to be my personal favorite Iron Maiden album. Coming in at number 5 is the album that got me into the metal band Disturbed in the first place. Yeah, I really like Sickness. I really like others. And I actually pretty much like their new album, Immortalized. That track is actually really good. Love the Vengeful One and several other tracks on the album. Just like I liked The Lost Children, Indestructible, Asylum. But the first album I ever heard was their third studio album. And I love it to this day. I will always probably have this as my favorite from Disturbed. And that being 10,000 Fists. Incredible track, probably my favorite track from the band. Also really like many others like Devour, tracks like, Forgiven, Land of Confusion, which of course was actually a cover song, and just so many other great songs on this album that I really love. And I just can't praise enough Disturbed, especially with this album, 10,000 Fists. Just a really well done, solid album from a younger metal band that hasn't been around more than 15 years. But they definitely have, I think, a very still decent future ahead of them, because they keep producing good quality albums. Coming in at number 4, one of my favorite heavy metal bands, and surprisingly, it's a Christian metal band on top of it, and that being the band Demon Hunter, and their, trying to remember, the first album was self-titled, then it was Summer Darkness, Triptych. Okay, this is their 4th studio album. That's my favorite. Storm the Gates of Hell. Incredible album. I love it. There's just so many great songs like Thorns, Follow the Wolves, trying to mirror names from the other tracks. Sadly, I forgot, though I really like. It's just a really good, solid album overall. Just love it. I mean, I love other albums from Demon Hunter, like The World is a Thorn is a good album. The Triptych Is a Sail is a really solid album. Summer of Darkness is good, and it probably has their best well-known song, obviously. My Heartstrings Come Undone. But Demon Hunter really is a really good, top-notch metal band. Only been around 13 years, but they have very promising still future ahead of them. Coming in at number 3 is another tie between one of my personal favorite industrial bands that had produced 4 studio albums, and this was their 4th and last one. It was like 2000-2001 it was released. The band Orgy and their album Vapor Transmission, which has songs like Fiction, Dreams, and Digital. Incredible track, incredible album. Love Orgy. Hands down one of my favorites. And tied with one of my personal favorite Ozzy Osbourne albums. Not one of his as popular ones, but still a really good one. And that being Down to Earth by Ozzy Osbourne, which was 2001 release. So, 14 years old now, dang. And it's got great songs like Dreamer. It's got other good tracks like Gets Me Through, which are probably the 2 best well-known tracks from the album, though it's had many other good tracks off the album. and I like it. I consider it to be really the last true Ozzy Osbourne album before he went more mainstream sounding on his albums with albums like Black Rain, though to be fair was still good, and Black Rain was certainly better than his last album. Just saying. Coming in at number 2, hands down my favorite Rammstein album. Their third studio album, Mutter. Though, I also really like, Risa, pretty good. And of course, my first album I ever heard from him was Sehnsucht. But, I love Mutter. Love it. Love the track Mutter, Menheit brennt, Firefly, if I'm correctly pronouncing it. Sunny Links 234, or 234. Yeah, it's just, Ishivir. It's just a really good album. I mean, though some of the songs are rather messed up in the head, I will say. And my personal favorite track, though it's not a well-known song from theirs, Spieluhr, or Music Box. Love, love, love this album. And there's a reason, obviously, why it became number 2 of my favorite male art bands albums. Number 1 is actually a tie between 2 albums that I know I said, but I just couldn't choose which one was my favorite from this band. And that is the band Iced Earth. And I literally cannot choose what my favorite was between Something Wicked This Way Comes, which was the very first album I ever heard from the band, was their 1998 album, which was the first to introduce the storyline of the Wicked storyline, which was 3 songs, which was incredible. Prophecy, which is definitely one of my favorite songs from the band. Other great tracks, like The Coming Curse, which was the third. I didn't care as much for the second track of the 3, but really good. And it would debut their mascot, which is, one of his names is the Ancient One, which is an ancient dead pharaoh. And the other album, which oh my word, I love this album so much. It's called The Dark Saga. And all the artwork on it was done by Todd McFarlane, my personal favorite comic book artist. And the entire album is a concept album that revolves around my number 1 favorite anti-hero from comic books of all time, besides being my favorite Image Comics series. But yeah, and it was, of course, created by Todd McFarlane, and that being Spawn. Yeah, it's a Spawn concept album, and it's awesome because Iced Earth is basically my number 1 favorite metal band, besides thrash metal band, and as I said, Spawn is my favorite anti-hero of all time, so that's 2 of my absolute loves. My favorite metal band doing a concept album of my favorite anti-hero, probably my second favorite comic book series, second only to Spider-Man. Which, of course, that's how I got into Tom McFarlane, was his Spider-Man issues. And it's just, overall, a really solid album, and I highly recommend you check out Dark Saga. Just a good album. They have a song about Violator called, Violane or something? I'm trying to remember the exact name. But great songs. Of course, the actual first track being Dark Saga, and Wayne on Heaven's Decision, which is an incredible heavenly track, which of course the lead vocals are done by my favorite of the vocalist of Iced Earth, and that being Matt Barlow, and of course, and the female vocals in the song is done by Kate Barlow, which is Matt Barlow's wife, doing the female vocals for like the Angels and stuff, which is awesome. Husband and wife doing incredible piece together, and the one who actually owns the copyrights to Iced Earth, John Schaefer, I'm trying to remember the exact way I pronounce his last name, but he besides being the lead vocalist, he writes the songs. He comes up with incredible riffs in his music. And people may not know, Kate Barlow is actually John's sister. So yeah, that's probably why some drama, because Matt Barlow, with that, I think is probably the best vocalist of the band they've ever had. But Matt Barlow and John are brother-in-laws. So it's kind of interesting why there was drama there. But it's incredible, and yeah, my two favorite albums are both done by Matt Barlow on the vocals. And Dark Saga was done in 96, and Something Wicked This Way Comes was done in 98. So, yeah, both were right around the same time frame, within 2 years of each other. And both incredible albums. I think this was probably when Iced Earth reached their very peak on the music. It's just incredible. And if you ever get a chance to check out either of these albums, if I had to choose one or the other to recommend, I have to recommend probably Dark Saga the most, just because of being a Spawn fan. If you're a Spawn fan, I highly recommend you check out the album. And if you like thrash metal and you never heard Iced Earth, go out, check out Iced Earth, seriously. Their new album also with Stu Block, formerly of Into Eternity, is really incredible. The album Plagues of Babylon. But I'll get ready to wrap this up, and I'll see y'all again here in YouTube land soon enough. And I'll try to get some of that footage for SubossCon for you guys. Peace out. Oh yeah, and also, I forgot, follow, of course, at twitter.com/GokuSunDBZ. And please leave a comment, thumbs up, and as always, please subscribe and let other people know about my videos if you like them. And have a good October, everyone.